She kept proof that moments had mattered. Her home wasn't filled with grand souvenirs or expensive art. Instead, it was a museum of small, seemingly insignificant pieces of paper. Tucked away in shoeboxes, albums, and old biscuit tins were thousands of ticket stubs. Each one was a bookmark in the story of her life. There was the flimsy, faded ticket from the first movie she ever saw with her grandmother, the scent of popcorn and cheap perfume still clinging to the memory. There was the creased stub from a high school football game where she'd shared a blanket with her first crush, the autumn air electorate with unspoken feelings, and then there were the concert tickets, a whole collection of them, each one a memory of screaming lyrics at the top of her lungs, feeling the bass drum vibrate through her chest, completely and utterly alive. Her friends used to tease her. "Why do you keep all this old paper, Alara?" they'd ask, flipping through a scrapbook. "It's just clutter." But to Alara, it was anything but. It was tangible evidence, proof. In a world that moved so fast, where moments blurred into one another and memories could fade like old photographs, these stubs were her anchors. They were physical reminders that yes, this happened. I was there. I felt this. Then came Leo. He was a whirlwind of laughter and adventure, a man who lived entirely in the present. He didn't understand her obsession with the past at first. "The best moments are the ones we're living right now," he'd say, pulling her into a spontaneous dance in the kitchen. But he loved her, and so he loved her quirks. He started contributing to her collection. The first was a simple train ticket from their first impromptu trip to the coast. He'd scribbled on the back, "The day I knew I was lost at sea with you." That ticket became her most prized possession. Soon, their shared life began to fill a new box. Movie stubs from date nights, museum passes from rainy Sundays, plane tickets from vacations where they promised to see the world together. Each stub was a testament to their growing love, a paper trail of their shared journey. Leo even bought her a beautiful, leather-bound album, its pages waiting to be filled with their future. One of their favorite things to do was to pull out a random ticket and tell its story. "The Botanical Gardens, April 2019, she'd say, holding up a green ticket. "That was the day you tried to identify every single flower and got most of them wrong, but you were so confident about it." Leo would laugh. "I remember that, and you tried to take candid photos of me, but you had the flash on and scared away a flock of pigeons. They nearly took my hat with them." These evenings were her favorite. They weren't just reminiscing. They were reliving. The joy, the silliness, the love, it all came rushing back with the touch of a simple piece of cardstock. The tickets weren't about clinging to the past. They were about celebrating a life rich with experiences, a life she was building with him. The years went on, and the collection grew. Tickets from their wedding venue, a tiny, rustic barn, a pass for a ferry to a small island for their honeymoon, a stub from a parenting class they took, both terrified and excited, and then a tiny wristband from the hospital, the most precious entry of all, with a name scrolled on it, Lily. Their life became a whirlwind of new moments, too busy and beautiful to even think about saving tickets. There were first steps, first words, scraped knees, and bedtime stories. The big leather album sat on the shelf, its pages still mostly empty, waiting for a quiet moment that never seemed to arrive. And then, one ordinary Tuesday, the story took a turn no one could have predicted. It was Sudan, a phone call that shattered the world. Leo was gone. The vibrant color of Alara's world bleached into a dull, muted gray. The laughter in the house was replaced by an oppressive silence. The present was unbearable, and the future was a terrifying, empty void. For months, she just existed, moving through the days in a fog of grief, held together only by the needs of her young daughter, Lily. The boxers of tickets remained untouched. The thought of them was excruciating. They were no longer joyful reminders. They were monuments to a life that had been stolen from her. Each stub represented a moment that could never be recreated, a door to a past that was now permanently closed. How could she look at them without her heart breaking all over again? One rainy afternoon, years later, a little Lily, now 7 years old and full of curiosity, was exploring the attic. "Mommy, what's in all these boxers?" she called down. Alara's heart seized. She hadn't looked inside them since Leo died. Just Old things, sweetie. Nothing important. But Lily was persistent. She brought down a dusty shoebox, the one from their early days together. Can we look, please? Hesitantly, Elara sat down on the floor with her daughter. Her hands trembled as she lifted the lid. There they were, the train ticket to the coast, the movie Stubs, the concert passes. A wave of pain washed over her, so intense it took her breath away. But then, Lily picked one up. It was a ticket to the city zoo. What's this one? She asked, her eyes wide. Elara looked at it, and through the haze of her grief, a memory sparked. That, she began, her voice thick with emotion, was from a very special day. It was so hot, and your dad bought you a giant ice cream. He got it all over your face, and he laughed so hard. He called you his little chocolate monster. Lily giggled. He did. Elara nodded, a tear tracing a path through the dust on her cheek. She picked up another ticket. A local theater. And this was from a puppet show. You were so scared of the dragon puppet, you hid your face in your dad's jacket the whole time. But when it was over, you peeked out and asked if the dragon could come home with us. A small, watery smile touched Elara's lips. It was the first genuine smile she'd felt in years. As she and Lily went through the box, ticket by ticket, something incredible happened. The sharp, stabbing pain of loss began to soften. The tickets weren't just about her and Leo anymore. They were about Lily, too. They were the story of her father, a man she barely had the chance to know, but whose love was woven into the fabric of these memories. For the first time, Elara wasn't just reliving her pain. She was sharing Leo's life. She was giving her daughter the gift of her father, one paper stub at a time. The stories poured out of her stories of his kindness, his humor, his boundless love for them both. The silence in the house was filled with his laughter once more. That day, the tickets transformed. They were no longer anchors to a painful past. They became a bridge connecting a mother and daughter, a bridge connecting a little girl to the father she'd lost, a bridge connecting Elara's grief-stricken present to a future where his memory could live on, not as a source of pain, but as a source of love and strength. She went to the shelf and took down the beautiful, leather-bound album he had given her. It was still mostly empty. With Lily by her side, she carefully took the train ticket, the one where he'd written "The day I knew I was lost at sea with you," and she glued it to the first page. She realized the tickets were never just about proving that moments had mattered. They were about carrying those moments forward. They were proof that love, like a story written on 1,000 tiny pieces of paper, never truly ends. It just waits for someone to come along and read it aloud again. Thanks for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more. And in the comments, tell us about a small memento you've kept and the story behind it. We'd love to hear it.